Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to do a quick hip mobility practice. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. As you can see, I have my mat up against the wall. I am going to use the wall for stability. My back body will be leaning into the wall. I will be using a chair and a belt. I have a stretchy belt, so it has a bit of stretch, a bit of give to it. And of course, if you don't have anything like that at home, then you can use a cloth belt. It does need to be long enough that we can put it over the head of the thigh as the knee is bent and the lower heel. We'll start with the chair facing us and we'll place a couple of bricks on top of the chair so that we can stand the right foot up onto the chair. Now I'll mirror you so I can use the wall for stability for my balance. I'm going to step my right foot up onto the bricks, and the height of the bricks is going to be determined by your legs length and by your hips, what's happening when you elevate this foot. For some of us, if you're shorter, you may be better to just use the height of one brick, or perhaps even just the height of the seat of the chair. So establishing what level of height you're going to step the right foot up onto, then we'll use our belt around the head of the right thigh, so bring it right over the top part of the thigh. Have the buckle on the outer right hip with the tail pointing down so you can adjust the belt to help the outer hip draw down. But before you step your leg up, dig your left heel onto the belt. Left heel back to the wall, and then step right foot up onto your bricks. Now you can bring the bricks in closer to you, bring the chair in closer to you, so you've got a deep knee flexion and then a deep hip flexion. Make sure your standing leg is not turning out. See, can you broaden the heel further to the left side? Outer right hip down. Now this is where the belt comes in really handy. Our intention is to level the hips, not having this outer right hip lift higher than the outer left hip. So you can use your belt, pull on the tail of the belt to roll the outer right hip down. Having established that level position of the pelvis, the hip sockets, we can draw the tailbone down, lengthen the lumbar spine, pin the back of the hands to the wall so that you're encouraging the shoulder tips to press back and down. Then if you feel steady enough, sweep your arms forward and up. Thumb side to the wall, palms face each other, and go on working this left thigh back towards the wall. Then we can take the arms forward and down and we'll step this right leg down. Hold the belt as it slips off the upper thigh. And we'll swap legs. So bring the belt around the upper left thigh. You've got the buckle on the outer hip and the tail pointing down. You'll then press your right heel onto the belt. Take the heel back to the wall and then step the left foot up onto your bricks. Feel the belt, it's almost like it's cutting into the hip flexors. And if you need to adjust, particularly if you're really noticing that this outer hip wants to lift up, use the tail of the belt. Drag the outer hip down more so that your hip sockets are level. Activate the muscles on this front right thigh. Press the thigh back and roll the inner thigh back towards the wall. Pin the back of the hands to the wall. Chest lifted, shoulder tips pressing back and down. Zip the navel up, pubis to navel lifting up as we then inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. The arms are in Ardha Hastasana, upward arm pose. Steady breathing. And then we can take the arms forward and down. And as we step this left leg down, hold your belt because it will slip off your thigh. For the next variation, we're going to take the chair, have it facing us again, and have it off to the right side. Perhaps not immediately against the wall, depends on your capacity to externally rotate the thigh bone in the hip socket. Maybe it's more on a slight diagonal. And we'll start with the bricks for the foot. And again, you decide what height. Do you want to start with your foot on the seat of the chair? Do you want just 1 brick, 2 bricks? And again, let's bring our belt in. So I've got the chair on the right side. I'm going to put the belt around the upper right thigh with the tail facing down. And then I'll stand my left heel onto the belt, heel back to the wall. So I've got the security of the wall to help my balance. And then as I bend this right knee up, I turn the thigh out and I place my foot on the bricks. And I'm going to adjust so that these are a little closer to me. Now, commonly when we take the leg out to the side, this outer right hip rides up and the hip socket on the right sits higher than the hip socket on the left. So you can use your belt to drag the outer right hip down, draw the right buttock down to bring the hip sockets more and more in line. Front pelvic bones lift, pubis to navel lifts. Use your right arm inside the knee to encourage your knee back. So that's encouraging the opening of the inner thigh muscles, the adductors, as well as the external rotation of the thigh. And we intend to get steady here. Steady our breath, steady our gaze. Then let's release. Hold your belt as you step your right leg down, and we'll take our chair with our bricks to the left side. And again, you can have that on a slight diagonal. If we try to take the leg directly out at a right angle to this standing leg, we might find we really distort what's happening in the hips. As you place your belt around the head of the left thigh, the tail of the belt faces down, and you'll stand your right heel on the belt, bring the right heel back into the wall, and then bend up this left knee, stand your foot on your bricks. So you're asking for external rotation in this thigh, this hip. Use the tail of the belt, draw the outer hip down, the buttock flesh down. So we're intending to keep the hip sockets level. Zip the navel up. Use your forearm against the inner knee to encourage that lengthening of the inner thigh, the area that's often referred to as the groin. And you can pin the back of the right hand to the wall. Chest broad. And still we've got that pelvic abdominal lift. Easy, steady breathing. Now let's release, and you can hold your belt as you step the left leg down. Moving on to another pose, still involving external rotation, but we're going to take it further. So this would be Ardha Padmottanasana, the half lotus forward bend. I'm going to use the back of the chair, and I will be putting a sticky mat, folded sticky mat, on the back of the chair. So I've got the sticky factor, but I've also got some padding. If you're shorter in the legs, or if your hips do feel tight, it may be worthwhile standing your heel up on a brick. Bring your left heel back to the wall, and then this right leg will come up into a variation of simple cross legs, we could call it, as we bring the outer ankle, the outer foot, the outer shin onto the top of the chair. So our intention is to have the external rotation in the thigh and the outer right hip descending so our hip sockets are level. And then you can encourage that external rotation. Use your hand to roll the thigh out. And for some of us, this is so strong. It's challenging to stay. As I said, if it does feel strong, if your hips feel limited in their range of movement in relation to this pose, put a brick underneath your standing heel so that you're standing taller and the height that you have to put the leg on is less, so to speak. Now this may be enough for some. You might just be needing to stay in this upright and breathe and manage the feelings of intense stretch. But if you can go further, you can start to lean forward and reach your hands to the arms of the chair. So now we're bringing in hip flexion over the externally rotated thigh. When you do start to fold forward, watch that you don't round the back dramatically and collapse the chest. Keep the breastbone lengthening forward, outer shoulders drawing back towards your hips. Smooth, steady breathing. And then we'll walk the hands back up, and as we come up, we'll lower this leg. Now we'll swap legs. Bring your right heel back to the wall and take the left leg up. You're externally rotating the leg and you're bringing the outer foot, outer ankle onto the top of the chair. So again, we've got this external rotation. Watch that the outer hip is not riding up. We do want to try and bring this knee down more level with the root of the thigh. So again, if you need to, put a brick underneath your standing heel. We can use our hand to roll the thigh out so that the hip sockets are level. And as we maintain this, we zip the navel up, maintaining pelvic abdominal tone, maintaining length in the lumbar spine. And if we are feeling strong sensations of stretch in the hip, we manage those sensations by utilizing the breath. Smooth, slow, steady breathing. Then if you feel you can go further, lean forward and reach your hands down the arms of the chair. Do ensure that the inner foot is lengthening away from the inner knee. So there's no collapse in the inner ankle. So as we reach our hands down the chair, keep drawing the breastbone forward, press the shoulder tips back, and breathe. Breathe smoothly. And as you're ready, walk your hands back up. We come up and out of the pose. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.